There are a lot of turn-based RPGs out there these days. The genre has been having a renaissance in the indie space in the last few years, and things have even started to really amp up in the mainstream with stuff like Expedition 33, Metaphor Fantasio, and the recent Like a Dragon game. But I want to take it back to where it all started for me. The game that shifted things from, these are some games I like, to, this is a genre of game I like. The game that helped me discover my specific love for the good old turn-based RPG. It isn't the first one I played. I played Pokemon Sapphire, and I remember fumbling through the intro of Final Fantasy 1 on the NES at like 6. I couldn't understand what was going on and just got dumpstered by Garland on repeat. No, the game I want to talk about is actually 2 games, kinda, sorta. We'll get into it. It's a lesser-known little GameCube RPG that I stumbled upon as a kid at a rental store. Evolution Worlds. Developed by Sting and originally released as 2 separate titles on the ill-fated Sega Dreamcast, Evolution: The World of Sacred Device and Evolution 2: Far Off Promise, the titles were smashed together and released in a package on the GameCube after the Dreamcast's demise. GameCube disk space was particularly sparse compared even to the DVDs that the other consoles were using at the time, so we actually don't even get both full games. While Far Off Promise exists uncut in Worlds, even so far as having extra content, the intro section isn't an actual full re-release of Sacred Device. They ended up porting Sacred Device into Far Off Promise's engine, cutting the majority of the actual gameplay, cleaning up the frankly terrible translation, merging a bunch of the cutscenes, slapping it all in front of Far Off Promise, and calling it Evolution Worlds. It's an interesting approach. It's one of those compromises that only really exists because of the older nature of the technology. It isn't something that would be really necessary today. So, let's get into it. As soon as you start the game up, you're treated to the first example of the cuts. You click new game, you get like 2 frames of what looks like your characters in a dungeon before immediately triggering a battle. Alright, bet. What are we looking at? Well, we're with 2 characters. A pair of adventurers named Mag Launcher and Linear Cannon, yes, all the names are like this, fighting against a spider and a big old rat. The reason this might seem abrupt is that in Sacred Device, we got a whole tutorial dungeon that ended with this fight, so nothing vital was lost, but the flow is a bit jank. It's gonna be the theme with regards to the cut content from Sacred Device to Worlds. It's pretty much all on the gameplay side, leaning to lengthy cutscene breaks and not much else. There's only 2 actual dungeons in this section. I'll get deeper into the combat once we actually have a full assignment to complete, so let's mop these guys up and finish up here. After the battle, Mag and Linear make their way into a chamber housing a giant painting of a mystical being. Mag says that the Society, the group he and the other adventurers take their contract work from, calls it the Messenger of Light. This likely means the treasure they've been seeking out is maybe on that little platform up above it. Adventurers in the world of Evolution are people seeking out all sorts of artifacts and treasures to make their mark, be it on the history books or their bank statements. Mag's family, the once famed Launcher family, definitely need more marks on the ladder, as they've found themselves in a mountain of debt that our pair of greenhorns are trying to help them pay off. Unfortunately, as they're trying to figure out how to get to the treasure, in comes the op to steal our bag. This is Chain Gun, a fellow adventurer from Pannam Town. It's where the 3 of them are from and where the Society also has a district office for local adventurers. Adventurers delve dungeons, battle monsters, and find artifacts. The Society, in turn, appraises those artifacts and pays out accordingly. While Chain is mainly a little ball of angry, we could probably take her on if it came down to it. Too bad for us, her Psy-Frame can fly, so she nabs the artifact and we go home empty-handed. Psy-Frames are advanced tech that certain adventurers use to help with their excursions. Mag's weird Swiss Army knife looking thing on his back is also a Psy-Frame. His is a lot more like a modal spell though. He's got a lot of utility when you need it, but sometimes you just need something with flying. Chain then proceeds to passive-aggressively ask for an invite next time, like a massive tsundere, and leave with the bag. Kinda based, honestly. We make it back to the Launcher family mansion and prepare for the expected dressing down from the family butler, Gray Nade. Gray has served the Launcher family since Mag was a child and is a pretty bog-standard but lovable, caring elder figure. He goes on and then begins to exposit about something called Evolutia. Evolutia is a rumored legendary Psy-Frame that the Launcher family and others have put a lot of time and effort into trying to find. After getting roasted harder by his butler than his rival somehow, we head back into town to try and get another assignment. Just gotta get back up and try not to end up in the red again. Upon arriving at the society, we stumble across another major player. A tall, blonde bombshell of an adventurer is wowing the guy behind the counter, but not with her looks. She's got a jade coin from the 3rd Dynasty, and it's in pretty good condition. She obviously knows her stuff, and she's likely leaving with a fat paycheck. After the, foxy babe gets done ruffling old boy's feathers behind the counter, she heads our way, noticing the psi frame on Mag's shoulder. Looking at her, she's sporting a cannon-type psi frame on her hip. We give our introductions, and...
Mag Launcher, really? Imagine that, meeting such a famous adventurer the minute I walk into town. I'm so lucky. That's why I'm positively addicted to the wandering life. You never know who you're gonna meet. How do you do? I'm Pepper Box. You can call me Pepper, little Mag.
It feels kind of weird to have a stranger call me by my first name. Does that mean I'm famous?
Why, of course you're famous. Everyone knows about the decline of the once great Launcher family.
Bro's out here getting cooked by everyone, bless his heart. She tells us she'll be chilling at the milk bar if we want to invite her along to a dungeon. Alright, now that this man's 3rd verbal assault of the day is done, we head to chat with Nina, the receptionist, and get our new assignment. She's a quirky local girl, unlike a lot of the society staff here. We have a chat, she gives us our next assignment, and we get sent to the Launcher Mansion with an in-game message. Speak to a colleague and make a party. For departure to a dungeon, get on the plane. The core gameplay loop of this first section of Evolution Worlds is begin an assignment from the society to explore a dungeon, assemble a 3-person party, make sure our gear and items and such are ready to roll, head to the landing field next to the Launcher Mansion, and fly out to a dungeon. We obviously have Mag and Linear, but we have one more slot to fill, and we have 3 options. Chain, the Angie rival girl, Pepper, the foxy babe, and our butler, Gray. On top of the obvious differences in all their mechanics, there is one more factor to know when it comes to building your party. Splitting that reward. If you hire one of the adventurers for your assignment, you gotta give them part of the pot at the end. Chain takes a relatively small portion, while Pepper's ass out here almost taking half. Unfortunately for the ladies here, the best party member also happens to be the one we don't have to pay at all. Our main man, Gray. Gray is a fantastic support, packing stat reduction, special buffs for psi-frame users like auto crits or temporarily boosting part level to the maximum, to a whole range of unique skills just for Mag, including being able to just literally give him his turn like he's a dancer. I never used him much growing up, but on my most recent replay, like a year or so ago on original hardware, I discovered how busted this man is, like the best butler should be. We go pick up Gray, head to the family seaplane, the Sea Otter, and hop on to our first dungeon. If you've ever dabbled in a mystery dungeon game, this might look a bit familiar. We've got a minimap up on the right and a set of dungeon floors to progress. As we make our way through, we'll find items, defeat enemies, and likely step on a decent number of floor traps. Floor traps in this game can do everything from statusing you, or alerting and buffing all the enemies on the floor, to even beneficial stuff like healing you. If you touch an enemy in the overworld, you transition into a turn-based battle like that tutorial fight from earlier. Let's talk combat a bit more now that we have more to work with. Enemies and allies are all on a grid. 3x3 grid for us, a 4x3 grid for them. Units in the back rank take less and deal less. Units in the front take more and deal more. And units in the middle are standard. Unfortunately for this game though, the differences in the damage output aren't really that noticeable, so I tended to just shove Linear in the back file and put literally every single other character at the front for maximum damage. You've got a pretty standard list of options on the left. You've got attacks, special skills, psi-frame skills, depending on which party member you're looking at, a special talent that's unique to each character that's on a multi-battle cooldown, etc. And after the battle, you'll also notice we didn't get any money. ZXP and TP only around here. TP is used to learn new skills. You can spend your TP outside of battle to just immediately add a skill to your list, but you actually shouldn't do that, for a reason I'll show you once we get to the boss. Like Mag, we are also in a scenario where it's a bit hard to find cash in these parts. The main ways for us getting money are finishing the dungeon and selling items. Item management is actually a pretty decent chunk of this game's intricacy. Nothing extraordinary, but it's attempting to cook. You only have 32 item slots, and each item takes up 1 slot, though certain items like Now Lens and other healing items can be stacked in a stack of 2 or 3 only. I actually found out while researching for this video that you can combine the status healers, but only in certain mixed up combinations. They don't stack on themselves. I didn't even know this when I was recording. I'll try and make use of it in part 2, I guess. Man, I love learning new stuff about old games. But anyway, unused equipment also takes up item slots. This often means that even in the smaller dungeons, if you aren't actively using and combining your items, you're probably going to fill up and have to dump a bunch of stuff along the way. While this seems really interesting on paper, having to constantly balance your inventory and account for your need of money, it doesn't really end up mattering that much, because you tend to get more than enough items and gear from the dungeon itself, and so you only really need the money for sci-frame upgrades. There's a little sparkle of this that could have been great if it had been fleshed out fully in the entire game, but I'm going to save it for the part 2 because it's a New Game Plus feature. Another thing to save are these prehistoric coins we keep finding. They are useless until we get to Museville, which is the second half of the game's hub town. So just throw them in storage and save them for later. Alright, time for the boss. Save, heal, and head on in. It's here in these major fights that it's best to utilize what I think is the most interesting part of Evolution Worlds' combat: how you learn new skills. If the character's portrait in battle has a gold ring around it, you have enough TP to learn a new skill. If there's an extra little flourish effect on the ring, it means you have enough to learn multiples. Nice little shortcut so you're not constantly having to check the menu. Now, the major benefit to learning your new skills in battle instead of unlocking them preemptively is very simple. When you first learn a new skill in battle, you use it without paying its FP cost. This means the optimal strat is to use the normal battles to farm as much TP as you can in order to get multiple free skill uses in the boss fights, especially in the last fight of this half. Those resources go a long way. Also, I love how Linear's mysterious magic and Gray being an absolute hype beast do the exact same thing. Good shit. We mop up the boss fight, get the treasure, and head back to Nina to get our reward. Another bonus to having Gray in the party is that you probably get the funniest dialogue from Nina in these scenes. She might be saving up to buy her own butler, if you know what I'm saying.
There he goes. Mr. Gray is such a neat guy.
Huh? A neat guy? Are you talking about Gray? Nina, do you have a fever or something?
He's always so classy and gentlemanly. He's a nice older man. I guess you're too young to understand.
No, I don't understand. Not a bit.
Is that so? Maybe in another 10 years you'll understand about what adults find attractive.
She's out here thirsting for colloidal silver. As we peruse the town a bit on our way back home, you'll notice that literally every single NPC in this game is voiced. There's not many of them, but they're all voiced. This new voiceover is one of the major features of this GameCube release. Sacred Device had no voiceover and a really bad written translation, and Far Off Promise was only dubbed in Japanese. So they took the opportunity of this release to dub the game in English, NPCs and all, and honestly, it's really neat. There's tons of games, even today, that can't or don't put that kind of effort in.
Hey, it's Linear. I was waiting for you. I wanted to see you. Come on, why don't you lose this debt-ridden deadbeat and be my wife? Come on, baby.
This dude cannot catch a break, I swear to God. I'm sorry, Mag. Once we get home, Gray and Mag have a conversation about what brought Linear to them. One thing you may have noticed already is that Linear doesn't speak. Whether she's physically mute or just keeps to herself, they don't really know. 3 years ago, Azrock Launcher, Mag's father, unfortunately disappeared while exploring some ruins. However, a month after his departure, Linear appeared on the doorstep of the mansion on a snowy night with nothing but a letter. It just said, "Please, Mag, watch after Linear until my return. I'm depending on you." Mag and Gray assure each other that Azrock will be back with the milk someday, and we go to rest up for tomorrow. Rise and shine, let's make our way downstairs. Gray and Linear are already up and about their day. Gray let the kid get some extra sleep. However, he mentions that someone from the 8th Imperial Army was here earlier in the morning looking for him. Gray shooed him off and said we'd be in touch later. The 8th Imperial Army is the major military force in these parts, and something has brought them to Pannam Town in droves. Turns out, it's a joint research expedition with the Society to search for, You guessed it, Evolutia. Knowing of the launcher's hunt for Evolutia, the army probably wants to see what they can get out of us. I guess no reason not to indulge them, so let's go see what they're cooking. It's here we're introduced to the least pleasant individual in this whole damn game. Probably the whole thing, part 2 and all. Crown Prince Eugene Leopold. He's snarky, he's an asshole, and he's unironically on pedo watch. We have nothing to tell him, so we go to leave, but not before he asks if he can just have Linear as his maid, which, unfortunately, I lost the footage to, because my hard drive filled up. Time to get ready for the next dungeon. For the second area, it's basically second verse, same as the first, except with a few more floors. Sacred Device had a few extra tile sets through its dungeons, but none of them made the jump onto this version. So, climb the dungeon, beat up the boss, which is a flower thing, and nab some more treasure. We had to get our reward from Nina. Gray heads back home. We give her the mic, she glazes him up some more. We go check at the shops a bit. We go talk to the little Rizzler, and we go to head home. But unfortunately for us, Eugene and his 8th Imperial Army goons have been hard at work while we were busy.
Welcome back, Mag. Did your adventure go well today?
Oh, no. So turns out Eugene might want Linear for a bit more than housekeeping. They seem to know something we don't. Mag, the little innocent dunce, he doesn't seem to catch on, but it's pretty obvious Eugene's hinting at some potential connection between Linear and Evolutia. The two run away while Eugene's on his soapbox about the ancient civilizations, but as they head to the Sea Otter to try and escape, the reason for Eugene's lack of concern rears its ugly head.
Huh? Why would they send such a thing?
And it brought friends. Mag's able to take out a decent chunk of them during the chase, but ultimately they're surrounded and Linear is taken. We wake up at home and Gray tells us that the 8th Imperial Army have left en masse. They got what they were after. We slipped up. Now we gotta pick up the pieces. Gray, the absolute king, helps Mag out of that momentary slump, and we go about assembling the crew to take the fight to the 8th Imperial Army. And actually, turns out half the job's already done. Pepper and Shane were on board as soon as Gray told them. Thanks, you guys.
And besides, Mag, you never invite me on any of your adventures.
Honestly, you little shit, you're right. I didn't. You are a subpar party member with no utility, and you take my money. Linear is locked in. Gray is my boy, and he breaks Mag in half, and he doesn't cost anything. Pepper, she might cost the most, but she has good AoE damage. And, slight spoiler, in part 2, she gets the recovery blast part, making her the de facto healer for the parts of the game where I don't get to use Linear. So, sorry, Short Queen, maybe next time.
I'm not exactly crazy about the idea of rescuing that scaredy-cat girl, you know. But I was already steaming mad about how those jerks blockaded the ruins like that. I say now's the time to open up a can of whoop-ass on those jerks.
Alright, Shane, let's go with that. Gotta love her, though. Let's get this thing done. One more trip to wrap up loose ends in town and make sure we're stocked and...
Hey, what happened to Linear? Oh, I get it. She finally left you. Or, oh no, you sold her to pay off your debt.
Where the hell are your parents? Time to bust the cans of whoop-ass out. We got plenty to go around.
Young Master Mag!
We have to get onto that ship. Can you crash into it, Gray? Anywhere will do.
Understood. Everyone, hang on. We're going in.
Not quite the intended landing scenario, but we've made it. This is the Imperial warship, the Kronprinz. This is an area where I think the cuts are the most unfortunate. In Sacred Device, the Kronprinz is a fully fleshed out area and the final dungeon of the game. It's fully explorable. Here in World, we get the bombasticness of the story and the cutscene, and what amounts to a couple of easy randos into a boss rush. Unfortunate, yes, but the main meat of the ordeal is still here. The first of the major bosses is PKW-3, one of those massive tanks they sicked on us back at the airfield. Outside of a giant missile attack that you get a warning on a turn ahead of time to guard against, there isn't terribly too much to it. We take it down, go back to the plane to heal up, and get ready to bring the fight to Eugene's door. Now it's time to lock in for the 2 fights in this half that actually have some bite. First up is just Eugene. Contrary to the scene right beforehand where he had like 4 goons that outnumbered us, they live in Sacred Device Town, they don't go here. Eugene has a lot more sauce than anything we've fought so far. He starts the fight out with an attack buff, he can cancel out all of the effects on our party, he can dish out damage, he can heal, though I think I lucked out on this playthrough and didn't see it, and the main thing that screwed me over this time, he can inflict blind. We started off pretty standard, with Pepper going in for the consistent DPS, and Gray buffing Mag so we could try and land a big auto crit turn 2, but Eugene wasn't having it. We then pivot to just setting up criticals, since we can burn those before he actually has the chance to cleanse it off of us. But, just a bit later, he winds up a Sternenhofen and gets Mag with the immediate blind. Not guaranteed, by the way. Now, we don't want to dump all our resources into massive Mag hits just for him to miss them all, so we just start going for consistency. Hit when we can, heal when we need, and spread it out, so that we aren't hinging our whole game plan on one potential catastrophic miss. We pivot Greg from buffing Mag, which can be dispelled, to throwing some debuffs out, which can't. And we do it with some tasty food, and an animation that is hilarious regardless of who it's targeting, but especially funny against Eugene. He's running for that shit like it got the extra MSG, got the secret sauce, everything. Between keeping him from snowballing his attack buffs, topping off our health, guarding his charged pistol shots, and steadily whittling him down, we get the dub. And he proceeds to turn tail and run like the brave commander we know he is. We give chase, we make it to the outer bridge, and he's got linear at gun's length. We get another grandiose speech, he blows the bridge, and they're gone again. Unfortunately though, I think Eugene wasn't thinking straight, or he needs to fire somebody, because a small detour later and we've completely circumvented that bridge he just blew up. The team discovers a hidden central command room with a weird display in the center and linear tied up. It's time to end this and go home.
Everything's okay now. You'll be fine. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Young Master Mag, behind you! Do you really expect to get out of here alive?
Oh, it's you, Eugene.
I will unleash the power within Linear to become the true successor of ancient civilizations.
You're crazy. Linear is just linear. She's got nothing to do with ancient civilizations or evolution.
My brother in Christ. I get that you don't like Eugene, but come on. She appeared mysteriously on your doorstep with a letter from your evolution hunting daddy saying, "Make sure nothing happens to her, please and thank you." The 8th Empire, who have been searching for Evolutia the whole time and have all this advanced technology that we've just seen, have only become more convinced that she's Evolutia since they found her. And you might have forgotten, she's been using healing magic this whole damn game! It's funny going back to games like this that just hit when I was young, because they are not subtle creatures. Eugene rolls up in a giant mech with a Gatling groin? Yeah, fuck it, we're going with that. And we begin the final encounter, part 1. This is one of the first, if not the first, JRPG boss that I remember from my childhood being difficult. He's tanky. He's got consistent AoE damage that can apply sleep, and yes, you can get sleep chained. He's got items that he can throw out if his HP gets too low before you end the fight. Nothing super cheesy like the blind from the last fight, just an endurance gauntlet. A specific item you've seen me hoarding along the way is the Mokana Ampule, a restorative that heals both HP and FP. I've been saving them all for this. Anything that rolls over into part 2, that's just icing. But it's because this fight is more fair that our mag tunneling strategy finds its mark a lot more consistently, with each auto crit doing massive chunks of damage. And after an 11-minute marathon, he finally goes down. Gray and Pepper head back to check on Shane and prep for the escape, and we can finally save Linear like we promised. Cockroaches really are hard to squash, aren't they? God, I love the fire in her eyes, scaredy cat girl staring down Eugene's loaded gun. And it turns out, she held him at bay for just long enough. Mag is alive, showing that the only animal harder to kill than a roach is a goat. And as Linear embraces him, she awakens fully as the messenger of light that we saw at the beginning. She heals his wounds, and we get one of the most cathartic moments for me in my gaming infancy.
Meg, you okay?
In a cute little gesture, he just gives her a thumbs up, acknowledging her silently. And that's where we cap off the first half of Evolution Worlds. If one thing's a bit evident from this video, it's that Evolution Worlds is very much a second half team. The abridged version of Sacred Device that constitutes this first chunk, I feel is really easy to see as an afterthought, especially if you're someone like me, who for so long didn't realize just how much of it they cut to fit it on that disc. So I wanted to make a full, dedicated video on that first part of the game, to give the world of Sacred Device and Pannam Town its due, even if I'm not covering that version. I haven't even started recording footage for the second video yet because I want to keep this feeling and this art fresh in my mind and keep the focus on it. It may be a bit chopped up and re-sewn together, but it's still what first introduced me to Mag, Linear, and the whole gang. It would be awesome to live in a world where discs were big enough back then, or the IP was actually popular and we could get a re-release with all the content. But I appreciate having this more playable, more polished experience despite all the fat that they had to shave off. This pair of stories in this game aren't gonna blow minds. They aren't Final Fantasy VII or Chrono Trigger or Shin Megami Tensei 1. But when delving into a genre for the first time, especially as a young child, simpler experiences can help ease in the fledgling fan rather than potentially gatekeep them frame one with tons of necessary mechanics and a wall of text. It's a simple little story with fun characters and a good set of functional systems for introducing a kid to the world of JRPGs. At least it was for me. Not everything is a big transitioning moment or somebody's magnum opus, but it can be just as rewarding to just look back on your first steps into a new space and re-experience the innocent joy of being on a new adventure. Thank you guys a ton for the initial support on the channel so far. It's still barely registering in my brain that I actually managed to get off my ass and release something, and here we are running it back again already. If you like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 of our deep dive into the RPG that started it all for me, Evolution Worlds. And trust me, I may have talked up Sacred Device a good deal, but there is a reason they made sure Far Off Promise was the one that got ported in its entirety. See y'all next time.